Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining Tom and I on the stream. Good morning. Good morning. In today's stream, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. It's actually, I don't want to say crashing, but it's really taken a hit. We have some news with the SPY is pretty flat, but the main thing is Bitcoin. It seems that it fell like $15,000 off of its high. Tom, let's take a look at Bitcoin this morning.
Yeah, for sure. Bitcoin is really falling down below $50,000, and a lot of people were expecting Bitcoin to hold that, but it did actually fall down below, now heading down to around 48,850, and it's just not looking too good. There is a support coming up around 48,400. So watch out for that intraday today as we start to move along. But it's just a bad thing to see with Bitcoin. And a lot of people were expecting this to pop as Coinbase kind of IPO'd, but it was the exact opposite. And Bitcoin is now coming down pretty significantly from around 60K all the way to around 48K. So it's just definitely not a good time for Bitcoin right now. Watch out for this. Bitcoin has these huge swings to the upside like we saw on its way up to 60,000, and then it has big swings to the downside like we saw the last time it fell from 20,000 down to 3,000. So just be careful. I'm not saying it's going to fall all the way down to 3,000, but just be very careful. It does have big swings like we're seeing.
Well, sounds good. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Morris, Raphael, Muscle, Angel. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let us know what stocks you're watching. Tom and I will cover them. We have the market opening in 3 seconds. So let's see. The S&P 500 is up slightly. But yeah, let us know what stocks you guys are watching. I know that FSR is continuing down, Tom. AMD's popping up. NIO's popping up. NIO is actually pretty close to resistance. So that might be one to definitely keep our eyes on. It's getting really close to that resistance, right around like $40.50.
Yeah, for sure. NIO is always a big one to watch. It is starting to like kind of fall back down at open, so just watch out. It's coming down to $40 and kind of having a very volatile candle, kind of like we always expect to see at open. And let's go over to Tesla, see how that one's doing today. And that one's actually going pretty red at open, all the way down to around 716, but it is very volatile. So it can always change direction within the first couple of minutes. We have SPY actually ticking back to the upside, like you said. So it's just, it looks like stocks are undecided right now. We're going to have to see how it goes. But, man, it's looking like the SPY is turning pretty green. And it looks like we might start to see a pretty good recovery back up if this continues.
For sure. And then with some of the questions, we have, we have Morris saying, do we have ETFs for crypto? So I know that we actually had some news earlier in the week about how like certain people are like getting closer to having like a fully regulated crypto ETF, but I know we're not there just yet. So to answer your question, there's only like one like kind of crypto ETF, and that is GBTC. So I know that there are more official and a lot more crypto ETFs in the works, but I know like one of the best you can get right now is GBTC. A couple other ones that move up with Bitcoin are like Mara, MARA, and then even Riot, RIOT. So keep an eye on those ones. And then we have Angel talking about Snap. So let's take a look at Snap. They actually popping, Tom. Look how much it's running right now.
Yeah, definitely. Hang on. I just have to close out of a position really quick.
But yep, no problem.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy to see Snap going up right now, hitting around $63, breaking that $61 resistance. And man, this one was really, it broke that in pre-market, sadly. I wish it would have broke it at market open, but it really, it was interesting news with that earnings yesterday. You know, it was initially moving to the downside off of them, and then it had a good catalyst and came right back to the upside. So earnings can definitely be strange, and Snapchat definitely proved that yesterday for us. And it's just a great mover today. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to break above 63, though. It's looking very volatile.
For sure. And then let's take a look at T. This one had pretty good earnings yesterday. It's starting to break out right now. Has some resistance right around 31.60. The high of day yesterday was right around 31.89, but it's running pretty hard right now in the first couple minutes of open. So definitely keep your eye on that one. So yeah, let us know what stocks you're watching. We have Muscle saying we need Nvidia to get back to over 700. So let's take a look at this one. Nvidia is a powerhouse. It actually bounced right off support at 595 today, which, you know, it's great to see. I would love, like, I know, Muscle, you might not like this, but I would love to see Nvidia fall back a little bit so I could get some cash secured puts on it. So yeah, I know a lot of people might not like that, but either way, I'm a huge fan of the stock for the long term, and I think it's gonna do great over the next couple years.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to get a little lower too. I mean, obviously, the lower it goes, the better for anyone who wants to grab shares, and it'll just be a great time if it does get down to around $500 or even like 450. But I really doubt that that's going to happen with what they're doing. But there is a lot of innovation going on, and they might have to pay quite a bit for like research and development over the next couple of years getting started in the CPU game and stuff like that. So it could be a pretty big deal. Plus, if their CPUs, whenever they come out, if they're not quite as good or something like that, that could always be a catalyst as well. But I kind of trust in Nvidia. They normally put out great products.
For sure. And then we have Melina saying thoughts on Square with Bitcoin going down. So, that's actually a great point because I remember Square's been buying some Bitcoin and even Tesla too. So, Square's actually down a little bit at open. It looks like they're not like tanking, but like they're definitely not rallying right now. But I think if Bitcoin continues to fall, like it might damage them a little bit. Obviously, it's not gonna make or break them. Now they're starting to rally a little bit, so it's obviously not a good catalyst that Bitcoin is falling, but like it's not like the end of the world either. If we take a look at Tesla, didn't they like buy like 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin or some crazy number like that? So they're kind of unchanged this morning too. So obviously it's not a great sign, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, for sure. And with Tesla, it is starting to move back to the upside pretty significantly now. So that's good to see. It is kind of holding these lows it hit in after hours yesterday. So that's awesome. It looks like Tesla's coming back up. I'd say if they can pass above 720, 725 pretty well, they might be able to come back up to like 730, which is that 1,000 SMA up here. And that's also right around resistance. So just watch out. I think it's a great day trade today.
Sounds good. And let's just take a look at, what the S&P 500's doing. If we look at the SPY, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of a bounce right around the 413 level. The next resistance is right around like 414. So I'll definitely have my eyes on that. I'm trying to see what's moving so far. I know the market has only been open for a couple minutes, but looks like we have AMD popping right above resistance at 81. We have Fubo running 2. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it. Redfin's popping back up. Let's take a look at DraftKings, not really doing anything. Zoom is popping back up. So I really like Zoom for the long term, and it looks like we might see a continuation. It actually had a lot of momentum yesterday, but right when that Biden news came out in the middle of the day, it just sent the stock falling. So either way, I really like it for the long term, and I think it has a pretty good setup.
Yeah, and we had a pretty good trade, Sorry about that on this one with the bot, but it looks like a pretty good trade to the upside again today, passing above that resistance around 333. I actually really like it. If it can break above like 335 like it is right now, it is running like Mike said it might do, and it was just amazing above this level yesterday until that news came out. It was very unfortunate to see that news, and it just, like you said, sent it down, but we still had a great trade with the bot, I think up around 10 to 12%, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty solid trade overall. And with some of these comments, let's see. So welcome Oliver, welcome Piper, Click, Justin. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Let us know what stocks you're watching this morning. We have Oliver saying, I really like Home Depot to pull back more. So Tom, I know we've been talking about this stock for some time now. This is the stock that only likes to go up, except yesterday. It actually had a great pullback yesterday, and I know Oliver did pretty well on it. So great job, Oliver, with that trade. And yeah, I mean, it looks like it can pull back more, but who knows with this one? It just went straight up for over the past month. So I'd like to see it pull back, but I hope it does. And if it does, that should be a pretty solid opportunity for puts. The options are pretty well priced. It's just it's hard to trade this one in my opinion because like just looking at the past month, it's just a powerhouse.
Yeah, it's really a big powerhouse, like you said. I'd say if it can fall below the low of yesterday around like 319 or 1890, then I would look at it to the downside today. But until it does that, I don't think I would get in. If it does break that though, watch out because it could really start to fall maybe down to like 310, which would be pretty nice. But like Mike said, it's a powerhouse. On the max daily chart here, we can see for ever since, let's find the very bottom candle here. Ever since March 5th, it's just went almost straight up. Very little red days, very little consolidation. If it did, it was maybe just 1 or 2 very minor days of like 1 to 5 point movement. Nothing too big for a stock around $300, and it was just a great stock to trade to the upside. And now we're kind of looking at it to the downside, so just watch for a continuation. It might kind of consolidate though around 320, like we're saying, so just be very careful. It might stay here for the next couple of days, but I will say if it falls below it, watch out, because it's a pretty high up there stock. You know, it's pretty overextended, and it has a lot of room to the downside, as a lot of these other stocks do. And even like the SPY, for example, is getting pretty overextended. So we're just seeing lots of possibilities, I think, with puts here over the next couple weeks.
So Piper's asking, well, she said, good morning, guys. What do you think of Palantir, Envis, and SKLZ? So I want to talk about Palantir. It's actually running right now. Looks like it's coming very close to resistance. I have some resistance right around 23.30, and then the main resistance is right around 23.50. But especially in the daily chart, I think it looks pretty good. I think it has a lot of potential over like the next 2 weeks. I really like the setup, and I really like it for the long term. So thank you, Piper, for bringing this up. I think it looks like a pretty good setup to the upside, and obviously this opening candle right here looks amazing.
Yeah, it does. And even on the daily, it looks pretty good. It's still hitting off that support. It's holding well. And I think it looks pretty good today, especially if it can break above like 23.20. It would be really good. Obviously, there might be resistance at like 23.51. But just watch out for that. If it breaks that, then it could really run up today. But sometimes Palantir has really big days where it runs like 5 to 10%. So just watch out, because whenever it breaks those resistances, it really runs. And it's just one of those good stocks to day trade as well. If we go to the 1 minute chart, it looks like a pretty solid setup, like you said. And if it breaks 23.20, I would definitely be advantageous to get some calls or something like that on this.
Tom, we have AMD really moving. It's just breaking resistance after resistance. The market has only been open for 10 minutes, and this thing is already up 4%. Like I said, it is breaking out. Let's take a look at the daily. I mean, it looks pretty good. Don't forget that they do have earnings pretty soon. They actually have earnings on April 27th. But right now, I think it looks pretty strong.
Yeah, for sure. AMD is one of those companies that everybody loves to get. It is bouncing off that resistance up there around 82.30 right now. It is starting to post a little bit of a red candle, but it's an awesome move today from $80 all the way up to 82.20. Like you said, within those first like 5 to 10 minutes of the market being open, and it might post some red right now and kind of consolidate, but it was an amazing trade. I love this stock around $80. They're a great company, and I just think getting shares even around 80 could be a pretty great deal, or selling cash secure puts. But today we can see the implied volatility actually went up with the stock, which was fantastic to see.
And then while AMD is exploding, look at Intel. This thing is tanking. I know that they also had earnings yesterday, but it's down 7% already. IV is popping up. If we look at some of the put options that expire today, some of these things are up 150%, 180%. So they're definitely running up. It's really tanking. Like I said, they did have earnings yesterday.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of negative catalysts with Intel right now. They have AMD to compete with. They have Nvidia to compete with now in the CPU market. So they have a lot of competition coming in, hurting them. There's been a lot of negative articles ever since Nvidia announced that they were going to start making CPUs as well. And that's really hurt Intel. And I think it's really caused a lot of investors to sell off. And it had almost a perfect double top up here around $68, $69. So that was awesome to see as well. Just because for a charting point, you could have taken profits up there around $60 to $68, which would have been a pretty solid level. Now we're falling all the way down to 58, which is another support. So just watch out over the next couple days for Intel. I don't think it's going to necessarily keep falling down to $50 or anything like that. I think it's going to hold this support here, but we'll have to see.
Sounds good. And thank you guys so much for joining. Let us know what stocks you're watching. Tom and I will cover them. We still have to answer the rest of Piper's question. She was also asking about MVIS and then SKLZ. So what are you thinking? Wow, MVIS is already up 13% today.
Yeah, it just broke the high of yesterday as well, which was awesome to see. It's starting to actually pull back a little bit right now, but it's still running. It's very volatile. If it breaks 15, definitely watch out. And she also said SKLZ. Let's go check that one. Wow, that one's actually down today, pretty significantly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I think about SKLZ. It almost looks pretty bearish to me on the intraday chart. Let's go out to the daily. Yeah, the daily, it doesn't look too good on this one either. It was popping up over the past couple days, but it was pretty significant. I think it might today just a pretty good consolidation day, I think, for it.
Sounds good. And then, yeah, like I said, guys, let us know what you're watching. We have Click saying Intel falling more, question mark. So it looks like it. Honestly, it does look like it. If we look through the past, like, of Intel's chart, we can see when it has, like, negative earnings reports, it normally runs for a little bit to the downside. And a couple examples would be one, on what is that, on July 22nd, 2024th. So July 24th. Another example would be on October 23rd. And even another example would be on December 18th. So it has these red days and then it just continues down. And even if you go all the way back out to May, like it just has a history, like May of not 2020, but 2019. So it just has a history of when it has these red candles, like it normally likes to continue down.
Yeah, and that is weird now that you pointed that out. I mean, I'm not normally a guy who gets superstitious about this, but it seems like every time there's an earnings report around May, the stock starts to fall down, which is kind of strange to see. But I will say it's just one of those types of stocks where it does gap down like this. It has a bunch of bad catalysts. Sometimes it even gaps down and then it'll even gap down again. So watch out for it to possibly, hit 50 over the next like few months. But I think it will kind of consolidate around 58, maybe $54 over the next few days, which would be still a pretty big drop down to $54 even. And they just have terrible news with Intel, or I mean with AMD and Nvidia. Like I said, that's just a very bad catalyst for them. It's just an unfortunate thing to see, but it does actually create some buying opportunities. The last time it fell down to here, I bought and then sold up around 54, and then I bought it again and sold it around 60. So it was just sometimes you can get some good buying opportunities whenever it gaps down like this, but just let it run. Don't get it right now. Be patient, let it run down for a few more days and then get it.
Sounds good. And I was just saying, like, whenever it has like this negative momentum, it really likes to continue. So definitely keep an eye on it. With some of the other questions we have, let's see. With the next question, we have Power saying thoughts on GM. So let's take a look at GM. It looks not bad. It's been consolidating right around that support at $55 each. It bounced off of that a little bit. Right now, it's sitting right around 57. So it's not bad. It's not really a huge mover. The IV's around 41%. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, they've actually been doing fantastic off of their EV news. This year's been great for them, running from 15 all the way up to $60. I think that they're due for a bit of a pullback here. GM and Ford as well. They both have been really capitalizing off of this electric news, and I think a lot of people have been missing out. Actually, I mean, Ford hitting $4, now hitting $13. That's a pretty big gain this year alone, and I think that's a pretty significant move. And I think that for the future, some of these stocks like GM and Ford might do very well, but in the short term, GM does not look very good. Especially if we go to that 1 minute chart here, it does not look the best. Intraday, if it does break the high around 57.14, it might run, but like Mike said, it doesn't run too much. I think it's more of a good swing if you get some shares that are pretty low and then you swing them for a few months. I think that's the best way to trade these two stocks.
Sounds good. And then we have Melina saying, does Intel have support around $58? So actually, it looks like they do.
Yeah, they do have a pretty good support at 58 on that max daily chart. They've hit 58 or right around it, I should say, quite a bit in the past. So just watch out. It's also right on the 100 SMA. I would not be surprised if they had a small, some small green candles possibly back to the upside here. It is a volatile day. If it does keep falling, just keep in mind that these stocks go up and go down pretty volatile throughout the day. So there will be a lot of movement on the way down. And I think that if it does break this bottom resistance around 57.70, then I think that we might really see a big drop, but hopefully it can hold where it is. But I think that with the bad news, we might see it go through. So just be wary.
Gotcha. And then, Tom, we got to check out AMD again. This thing is really running. The market's been open
Wow.
for, what is it, 17 minutes now, and it's already up just under 5%. It's breaking out again, so definitely keep your eye on it. Ever since open, this thing is literally exploding. Like, I'm looking at the 1 minute chart. It had, what is it, 3 or 4 slightly red candles, but wow, I mean, there's a lot of upwards momentum into this stock today. And I even saw some news about people are buying, I think, some sweeps on it, some call sweeps. It looks like the $92.50 calls that expire on June 18th. So it looks like there was a pretty big fill at that level. And, with the way AMD keeps moving, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at $92.50.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, it's a great stock. It loves the channel between around $80 and that $92 level, like you said. So there's a pretty big opportunity there. And today, intraday, it's had amazing moves. I loved how it hit like 82.25, started to consolidate a little bit. You could have had it just played that little high right there. If you could have bought in as soon as it broke that to the upside and got a quick little scalp on it, and it would have been a pretty good trade. It looks like it's still going to keep going up today as well. Well, now it's actually posting a bit of a red candle, but we'll have to see what happens with it. I think it's still a good opportunity today. It's a big runner though. It is up quite a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if it started to consolidate again. But it's just one of those stocks that really likes to run. It has a lot of news behind it as well, and I will say it's getting close to a resistance around 83 to 83.20. So just be careful.
One thing I like to do, like with day trades, like, we all know AMD is exploding right now. It's up literally just under 5%. And even though I like AMD to the upside for today, I would hate to buy into calls or shares right now after it already had this huge move. So a lot of times what we see with setups like these is we'll see a giant run up like we're seeing right now with AMD. It'll pull back maybe for an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and it'll slowly get closer and closer to retesting that high of day. Once it breaks that, normally that's another solid opportunity, or maybe even if it pulls back to $81.50 or $81, that might be a good spot to buy the dip. But personally, I just hate to I would hate to get calls on it right now after it already had this huge run up and that the call premiums are sky high. So if we look at some of these call premiums, like I could see these weekly calls are up 500%, 270%, 483%. So like to me, it's not a smart idea to buy after it already had this huge move unless you're like doing like a 30-second scalp or something. But I think it should be a pretty good opportunity, like if we see it like dip down a little bit and then later in the day for like a high of day breakout.
Yeah, for sure. And like Mike said, the only good time to trade it probably would have been this little breakout right here, unless you got in right at open. So right now, there's really not a good opportunity unless it can start to really break above 83 or something like that and have some great momentum. But at the same time, you'd have to get in for a very quick scalp. And for most people, you have to have done it for quite a long time to be able to do it that quickly with the type of accuracy it takes with getting the good fills with the spreads and stuff like that as well. And sometimes that's a big problem with day trading as well, is like getting filled on spreads. And because, for example, right now, like let's say a lot of the viewers, they might have bought it like 82.70, and then if it hits $83 and then they can't even get out because the spreads are like still like at their buy-in price. So sometimes you can just get weird options that move strangely like that. And especially whenever it starts to consolidate like we're seeing with a couple red candles, you can see those spreads and the options start to get a lot of weird movement where as in whenever it's going straight up, it starts to really gap.
For sure. And then we have QS getting pretty close resistance too, right around $36. Let's take a look at some of these questions. So let's see. With the next question, we have A1 saying, hey, can you guys please cover OZON? Very interesting play with a lot of potential for the long term as well. So OZON, I have never heard of this company. Fill us in. Tom, have you ever heard of this one?
No, I've never heard of it, but it sounds like ozone or something like that. So, hey, I mean, if they do something for like the environment, it could be a great deal. Looks like they've actually moved fantastically since they've came onto the market. Looks like a great pickup. They might head back up to highs around 68.77. So just watch out. It looks actually like a pretty good setup.
Yeah, so apparently it's a Russian e-commerce giant. So yeah, it's a little bit different from a what do you call it, like environmental company, but it doesn't look bad. Do you want to give some levels, Tom? Maybe support and resistance, something like that.
Yeah, they actually just hit off a pretty good support down here around $58, and that is a pretty big difference. Like you said, there is a small resistance coming up around 65.20, maybe 65. So watch out for that over the next couple of days. It might consolidate there, but it does have highs around somewhere around $68. We'll just say it did hit 68.77, but it did also then hit 68 and post lower highs before it fell there. So watch out for $68 to the upside. It could be a pretty good trade if you buy it above this $65 level and then trade it up to 68. That could be a pretty good $3 trade right there.
I mean, while I've never heard of this company, the industry sounds great. You know, e-commerce should continue to do amazing over the next decade, or even in the short term over the next couple of years. And I think that either way, like if the fundamentals on this company are good, I think it should be a good long-term hold. But like I said, this is the first time I'm hearing about this company, and the chart doesn't look bad either. You know, it actually has support right around 50, and the IV's around 50% as well. So I'm actually curious what types of premiums you can get on this one. Right now, the share prices are right around like 64. So like you can sell a 60 strike put, and you can get paid around 100 and let's say $160 right now. So the premiums aren't bad at all, actually. So it's definitely not a bad play.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not bad. He just said that it's the Amazon of Russia, so that's a pretty good thing to hear. You know, we have that other stock JMIA, which is the Amazon of Africa, and that one actually did pretty good over the past year, but then it started to really tank off over the past couple months. But overall, it had a very big rise this year, and it's still up quite a bit year over year, even though it had this big drop. But I really like this stock, OZON. It seems like a very interesting one, and it looks like a big runner. It could start to run. I think that the Amazon of Russia might do a little bit better than the Amazon of Africa. I don't know. We'll have to see how the companies go, like with sales and stuff like that. But hopefully this stock doesn't end up like JMIA and start to fall back off. Hopefully it can start to hit new highs and break out above $70.
All right, and then we have V saying, "Hey Tom, what do you think of VUZI?" So VUZI, Tom.
Yeah, VUZI. Wow, yeah, it's actually starting to come down. It had a solid support right at $20 that it bounced off of. If it holds that, I think it could be a great trade actually. You might want to get in and then like place a stop loss right below $20. I think that could be a pretty good way to trade that. If we go to the 1 year daily, or I mean, we go to the intraday chart, the 1 minute, it looks like it's starting to come down intraday. So just be a little careful. Intraday, I'm pretty neutral on it, but on the daily, it looks pretty solid off that $20 level. And intraday, it also bounced off of like 21.50. It had a double bottom there. So if it can hold that intraday, it might be good, but who knows how much it's going to consolidate between like 22.80 and 21.80 all day.
For sure, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Let us know what stocks you're watching. We have a stocked up phone number. Text stocked up to 39970. You can see the phone number like towards the top of the screen. But thank you guys so much for joining. We're going to be sending some market updates through text. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to text us. And with some of these questions, we have, let's see, we have Margaret saying, can you take a look at Peloton? So I like this one for cash secured puts. It's still holding that support right around 100. It's up very slightly today. It doesn't have like a ton of momentum to the upside or the downside. It has another support right around 102, which is what it's currently like lingering around. So like honestly, like I don't really like any setup on this right now except cash secured puts, unless like it breaks out or breaks down.
Yeah, cash secured puts could be a great way to go on this. And just keep in mind that they had a pretty bad thing whenever someone apparently died on their machine. So just be very careful with that. Any type of stuff like with pets or animals or anything like that, that's obviously like bad press, and that's what happened with Peloton. So just watch out for them to possibly keep falling. They might still break down to the downside. Who knows? I mean, it looks pretty bad on the daily chart. Just watch out for that $100 level.
All right, and we have Oliver saying, "How's the Tesla open interest?" So Oliver, when we're done with the stream, I'm gonna do some analysis on the volume of Tesla and to see what's going on with that trade. Long story short, we saw that someone put around $180 million into Tesla calls yesterday, Keep in mind, earnings are very soon, and that's a notional value of around, I think it was $690 million worth of Tesla shares. So long story short, it seems like someone's trying to take a pretty big bet with Tesla ahead of earnings. I don't know if they're still holding those calls. That's what I have to figure out once the stream ends. But yeah, it's definitely a very, very interesting setup. But yeah, for sure. And then we have Raphael saying AMC and OCGN for the daily. So let's take a look, Tom.
Yeah, AMC actually it's starting to look pretty decent. I mean, it's failing to break the highs of yesterday today, which is not good. But overall, on the daily chart, it doesn't look too bad, especially for a stock like AMC. I mean, if it can keep popping up, that'd be fantastic. Overall, I'm pretty neutral on it. I don't like to trade these stocks too much, but it was looking a little bit better yesterday. But today, with that failure to break out, it just then now I'm just more neutral on it to just for example, I just have it on my radar. I'm just watching it just in case I see it pop, but I'm not really trading it.
Tom, we got to take a look at the SPY right now. Look at it. It's kind of rocketing. Look at Tesla too. Tesla's really rocketing. It actually bounced super hard off that 720 support. Looks like it's about to test a 730 resistance. And then after 730, it has another resistance at 735. So look at this thing. It's just popping.
Yeah, boom, there we go, right up to 730. Like you said, there's also the 1,000 SMA right there. It looks like a pretty good play, actually. Tesla has been looking pretty good off of 720 over the past few days and off that 700 support like we were talking about. That would have been a great time to pick up some options on it, especially this morning around 7:15 when it kind of double bottomed with that after hours low of yesterday. I think that would have been great. Hopefully it can keep going up right now. There is that resistance at 730 that it's kind of hitting off of right now, having some trouble breaking out of, but it's looking very interesting, like it actually might break out. And like you said, it's really going up, and the SPY's going up too. Tesla might be bringing the SPY up, or the SPY's bringing Tesla up, but I think Tesla is looking great ahead of earnings, especially with those calls like you said that guy bought. I mean, that's a really big bet that he has on Tesla, and I would not be surprised if Elon Musk might help him out. You know, remember the last time he tweeted Tesla's stock price was too high whenever someone had put. So maybe this time the earnings might help. And who knows, whenever those electric trucks starts coming out, I think they're really going to profit. And whenever they start having these evaluations, or they're going to have a good outlook, I think, looking ahead at those truck earnings coming out later this year. And I think that might be a big thing over the next few quarters.
Yeah, I have to dive deep into what's going on with these Tesla options. You know, the main point is that someone put $180 million into these calls. And like I said, I have to make sure that they're still holding these calls before, we make any official opinion. But either way, there's a ton of money flowing into this. And, Tesla stock has just literally exploded over the past year. Some people say it's way overvalued. Some people say it's way undervalued. Like, didn't Kathy Wood give a price target of like $4,000? So, I know there's a lot of I guess you could say like debate / different opinions on the company. I like it, but I'm gonna do some more research to figure out what's going on with those calls.
Yeah, and in the future, keep in mind that Tesla's gonna have a lot of big things coming out, guys. Like they're gonna have electric pickup trucks that are going to have self-driving capability and different things like that. So there's a bunch of big stuff for the future still for Tesla, and I think that that's what Kathy Wood and all of those people are really looking at for the future. And keep in mind that with their targets, they did target that over the next few years. It's not like they targeted $2,000 by the end of this year or anything like that.
For sure. And then we have Sylvia saying thoughts on ZM. So I'm a huge fan of it for the long term. I like it for the short term as well. It looks like it's pulling back a little bit right now. It has support right around 326. The thing with Zoom is you have to be pretty careful because the options are really expensive, and it is a pretty volatile stock. So I would say I would say that the most important thing with this one would be getting a good quality option, because like I said, they can be very, very expensive. Like if we go out to, let's say we go out to the January 21st of 2022 at the money calls, it's going to cost you $5,600 just at the money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of different factors with those call prices, and the intraday today, it's been interesting today. It was really trading well above 333. fell below it, and then kind of actually had a good confirmation where it came up, hit off of it once again, and then came to the downside on the 1 minute chart. Now we're down to 330, kind of hitting off the 100 SMA. So I don't know what to think about this one today. I think I'm just going to stay neutral on it, but it is having kind of a pretty big pullback for for an intraday setup. It could still easily like test these lows around 326 and then continue up today, but it's just not looking good right now.
And then with the next question, we have Click saying, what is Palantir's next resistance? So it does have a little bit of chop right around its current levels, 2330. But I would say the main resistance right now would be like 2350. If I go to an hourly chart, I can see that there's resistance right around like 2350. There's more resistance right around like 24. So I would say like the next main one would be 2350. And Palantir definitely is a runner. I'm actually curious what the short interest is on Palantir. I know a lot of people, or a lot of funds I should say, were shorting it a while ago. The short interest isn't too high right now. It's only around like 4%. So either way, I like it. I like it for the long term. It would be great if it could break above the high of day yesterday, which was 2351.
Yeah, that's actually a really good level, Mike. I'm glad you pointed that out. That's actually going to pose as a pretty good level today, I think. If we can break above that, that would actually be a pretty good day trade opportunity. So go ahead and like maybe post an alert, guys, at like 23.45 or like 23.47, so you guys can see whenever it's getting close to that. But I think that'll be a pretty good trade whenever it breaks above that. And it looks like we're actually heading back up to that right now with Palantir. So Palantir is looking actually pretty good, especially off that daily chart, off of that bottom support around 21. It's just been a very great stock to trade. I think that if you get in right now, it might come back up to the top of this channel over the next couple of days. And there has been a lot of people betting on it, like Kathy Wood picking up more shares down here at the lows. So just definitely watch out. I think it could be a pretty good stock here.
Sounds good. And then we have Oliver. Okay, no, then we have Morris saying, how about Coinbase? So let's take a look at Coin, COIN. This DPO, technically, it's not an IPO, it's a DPO, direct public offering. But if we look at Coinbase, it actually hit highs on its first day of around 430. It's slowly coming back down. I like it for cash secured puts right now. I like it for the long term as well, but I wasn't a fan of picking it up at like 400. Like, I think if it falls below like 200, that's where I would like to buy. I know that's pretty far away, but maybe even if it like touches 250, it's just, I hate buying into, these newly released stocks when there's so much hype into them right around like their first couple days of trading. And a perfect example would be Airbnb, ABNB. It actually had so much hype from its IPO, and it ran up to like highs of 165 on its first trading day, and a couple days later it tested 121. So I'm kind of looking for a similar setup with Coinbase. I think it should do pretty well over the long term, but I'm just not trying to buy at these crazy prices.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that a lot of institutions and stuff were actually able to buy it lower, like around 250 and stuff, I've heard. So just be very careful, because before it's actually IPO'd to the public, apparently some of these institutions are able to get it. And that's a pretty big deal, because that really drives the price up in the morning. And that's why it opened so high like it did. And it was just an unfortunate thing to see for a lot of traders who didn't really understand that those institutions could do that. And it's just a bad thing to see, because then actually a lot of them probably were taking profits right here. That's probably why it fell so much. And it's just an unfortunate thing to see, because it's almost like they just took advantage of everyone.
Yeah, and if you look at Coin, I believe the initial like target price was like 250 or something crazy like that, and it starts trading, and before I know it, it's at like 430, I said? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
340, sorry. 340, no, actually, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong chart. 430. That's crazy. That's a crazy premium. It just goes to show you how much hype was in this stock, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I think it's a little bit too expensive right now, and if it continues to fall, I would love to pick up some shares. I know I have a cash secured put at like $200 right now, which has a very, very low chance of actually expiring in the money, but if it does, it's a win-win in my opinion. So either way, I like it for the long term, and I'll definitely have my eyes on it. And then we have Piper saying Envis is running. So right now it's up around 19%. They do have earnings on the 29th. Tom, what levels are you watching?
Yeah, this is actually running pretty well, breaking above the high of yesterday at $15. Like we said earlier in the morning, that's actually a very good thing. Let's go to that daily chart and look at it. Wow, yeah, there's actually a lot of volatility on this stock. I haven't really checked this one out on the daily too much, more of intraday charts, but this is a pretty crazy bounce. Did some pretty crazy bounces on the daily here. It had a pretty good support around $10, which it hit. Definitely watch out for $16. It looks like it's hit that one a couple times in the past. If we break above that, definitely watch out for what is this all the way up here, around $19 to $20. It looks like $19 is a pretty good resistance. So just watch out. If we break above 16, watch out for 19. But as far as today goes, I think that we're up so much today that I think once we get to that 16 resistance, we might see some good consolidation around there.
Sounds good. I'm doing a quick scan to see what's moving this morning. We have FUTU moving, definitely FUTU to the upside. We have Bank of America running a little bit, Apple, Tesla. So yeah, FUTU. Let's take a look at this one. It's up around just under 3%, but the options are moving. Implied volatility is rising a little bit. Looks like it looks like it has potential. One thing to be careful with this one is it does have a lot of resistance overhead. We have levels at 130, we have levels at 140, 142, 145, 148. So it does have a lot of chop. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But how's Apple doing, Tom? Let's take a look at this. Apple's popping up. Tesla, that's actually running too. They're both at high of days. Tesla is still running.
Yeah, Tesla's still going up. That's pretty crazy to see. It's still, let's see, did it finally break 730? It looks like it did a little bit. Let me go to that 1 minute chart. Yeah, look at that. It's actually starting to break out right now on the 1 minute. Very interesting with Tesla. Like we said, it could be a good day trade if it breaks above 730. So watch out. It might pull back, but definitely look at it. It looks like it might go up to around 735. That's what I would try to target. If you want to be really safe, target maybe 733, but I think it looks like a pretty solid trade, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it looks decent. Just one thing to watch out for is you see how there's a lot of chop right around this, what is this, your simple moving average right here? Yeah,
Yeah, the 1000
yeah,
SMA
yeah.
and
So
the 730 support
right,
or
exactly,
resistance. Yeah.
exactly. So there is a lot of chop. So one thing I just want to watch out for is, it can be a fake breakout, kind of like we saw with Palantir yesterday. Like it broke out right at market open. There's just like a lot of chop. So just watch out with Tesla. Obviously it's doing great right now. Just watch out. It's actually breaking out right now. So but yeah, just be on the lookout for that. And then we have Justin saying we need at least 1,000 people in here. Very surprised there isn't. You guys rock. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for that kind comment. Feel free to share the stream with your friends, other traders. We really appreciate you guys coming out. We're having a great time. So thank you guys so much for joining us. It's our first week doing this. And then let's take a look. We have KG saying thoughts on NIO. So I'm not sure if you're looking at this for a day trade or a swing trade or a long-term hold, but actually it looks pretty good for all of them. So if we look at NIO, it's actually breaking out intraday. I like it for the long term. And even for a swing trade, it's not bad. Just watch out for that earnings. What is that, next week? Yeah, next week.
Yeah, the setup is awesome today. If it breaks above $40.70, it actually looks like a pretty solid move to the upside. Hopefully it can break out. It looks like it really will. I think that one, let's go see if Tesla is still going up. Hopefully it can kind of follow Tesla. Tesla's still getting chopped right here, like you said. So just be careful of that. It looks like some of these stocks are like right around resistances, but it looks like they will break out. It just looks like it might take some time here. NIO is trying to really test this. Let's just watch it for a second, see if it can finally break out. It's really looking like it can, I think. It's looking pretty good at 40.70. It's trying. There we go. It's like right there. There we go. 40.73. I knew it would happen. We just had to wait for it.
There we go. And I just want to explain something because I know someone told me this like a while ago, and it's actually a pretty cool lesson. So when a stock breaks its high of day or its weekly high or whatever, like let's say for example NIO, it's breaking its high of day right now, right? What happens when it does that is now that it's breaking out, it has all this positive momentum into it. It's going to end up showing up on a lot of people's day trading scanners, these high of day scanners, these breakout scanners, all this stuff. And what's going to end up happening is probably it's going to bring even more buyers into it. You know what I mean? So I know that like a lot of times we see a stock breakout and it just keeps on running and running and running. And two examples would be with AMD and Tesla. And when these stocks break out, the more it runs, the more people hear about it. You know what I mean? Like Wall Street Bets might hear about it. We might see it trending on, like I know Robinhood has like a hot stock section. We have a bunch of day trading scanners that'll pick it up. So I just kind of want to, just share that with everyone because it really helped me and it makes sense. And I know it's not like a crazy lesson or anything like that, but I think it's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point because that really does happen, guys. And especially like with these big institutions, they have tons and tons of programs that are just programmed to find these things, especially whenever they're running like this. And sometimes they just get like one quick 1 second trades in that they can make like $10,000 in a second, or you know what I mean? Like they get a lot of money going really quickly, and sometimes it's just one of those things where they bring in a lot of momentum as well, like Mike said. And when that's just what happens when things start to run. And we saw that with GameStop. It didn't just happen with the institutions, it happened with regular people. We saw retail traders all get into GameStop just around the same time, and it just really had that short squeeze, and it just really ran because everybody started to get it. Not that it was showing up on everybody's radar per se, but everybody was talking about it and getting it in the same concept.
For sure. And if you guys like to read, there's actually a really good book called Flash Boys. It talks about how these institutions have all these crazy like programs and robots and what they do to make money in the markets. It's actually a really good read. It's called Flash Boys. So yeah, like I said, it's really cool. It talks a lot about how these institutions actually built like a giant like fiber optic like network to just be like 1 millisecond faster than their competitor, and they make so much money per year doing like these, like Tom said, like these 1 second trades or like these nanosecond trades. So feel free to check it out if you guys want. And then we have Keith saying RTX is looking good. So Tom, I know you're a fan of this one. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I actually really like RTX. It's starting to break out above this upper resistance around $80. It's starting to look really good. Let's go look at that daily chart. Yeah, wow. Yeah, if it starts to really break out above 80, it could be a solid move. I think it's awesome. My only problem with it is I think that the options are pretty badly priced is the only problem with RTX. Let me go check the chain really quick. But yeah, with RTX, if we go out to May 21st, there is on options at the money, there's only like 29 volume on the calls. So there's definitely like not many people trading it, unfortunately, but that's a sad thing to see, but it is good for shares. I think it's a pretty solid move up to $85 pretty safely. I think it could be good for the longer term as well. I still like Lockheed Martin as well, but they are starting to tank down. They were having a great move off this 1,000 SMA and support around 340, which was just awesome to see. I got in and sold around 370. It did go a little higher to around 390, but I think I got out at a good level. We're pulling back right now pretty significantly. And if we pull back to somewhere around 350 or 360, I might hop in again.
Sounds great. And then we have I'm Fierce saying, my Mara cash secured put at $31 will be interesting. It expires today, actually. Wow. A hovering win-win. So that's actually a great point. So it's the 31 strike cash secured put, and it expires today. Right now, Mara is at literally $31. So, yeah, this will definitely be interesting. I'm not sure like what price you got in at, but you can always let it ride till expiration. That's what I did with Fubo cash secured puts on Friday, and that actually ended up working great because Fubo popped this week. You can always roll down and out. You can lock in profits on the put. There's a lot of things you can do with it. But overall, if you don't mind holding Mara at $31 each, it can be a huge win-win. Like I'm not sure how many you sold, but let's say you sell it at this 31 strike, and let's say you get assigned, next week it might be at 35 or 40 or 20, who knows? So either way, as long as you're fine holding it at 31, that looks like a pretty solid setup. And while we're speaking of Mara, what's going on with Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin's moving pretty well, actually. They had a pretty good support around 48,500, and we hit off of it intraday today, and it looks pretty nice. It's moving to the upside a little bit. And if that does happen, expect Mara to kind of pop through this 1,000 SMA and the resistance it's at right now, and it might go to the upside. And if you hold that, then you'll just get to keep your premium. But if it does, to me, I think you might. I think the chances are, to me, you're going to probably end up getting those shares if you hold it. So just watch out. I think you might end up getting assigned. It's really close to 31. So like Mike said, as the day goes on, in an hour or two, you might want to make a decision, maybe to cut it, or if you really want the shares, then just take the shares. It's definitely a great price on Mara, but the only problem is that it's a great price on Mara, but on Bitcoin, we have to hope that Bitcoin itself can actually hold its low, or else Mara's gonna get obviously hurt way worse than Bitcoin will. I think sometimes Mara can have huge swings, and it's even reverse split before. So definitely watch out.
Well, I actually have the 20 strike cash secured puts on Mara, so I'm kind of with you in the same trade in a way. I know my strike is $10 out of the money, but either way, I mean, I like the setup, but like Tom said, just you got to watch out for the way Bitcoin moves as well. But overall, I think it should be a pretty solid setup. And then we have Piper saying Envis is running. I think we already covered this question, but Envis is actually trying to break highs again. It looks like it's getting really close to that $15.80 level. I'd be very curious to see if it breaks out again.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to try to. It looks like it's going to, and there it goes all the way up to 15.90. It's probably going to hit maybe off of $16. Let's go see on that daily. I think 16 was a pretty solid level. Yeah, somewhere right around 16 looks like a pretty good resistance. So I think we're going to have to see if it can kind of bounce off of that. But there's a lot of volatility right now with it just moving between like a 20-cent range, just like within the past 15 seconds, just about.
For sure. And then let's take a look at some of these other questions. We have Muscle saying, when is a good time for airlines? So let's take a look. My favorite airline stock is probably LUV. If we take a look at their daily chart, they actually popped a lot over the past couple months, especially if we go to their daily chart for like the past 2 years, just to get a look. Obviously, the best time to have bought these would be when COVID was really bad in like March, April, and May. Right now, there is a support right around like $57.50. And Tom, do you see like any other major levels on this one?
On LUV,
Yes.
yeah, I think that there's a pretty good one around 59. I really like 57.50 though the best. That's the most defined one in the past. 59 it hit off of a few days ago before it had a pretty big pop, and that just could have been the market and just how cruise lines and everything like that popped over the past couple of days. Obviously, it just drew it back up with it. But I think that this is one of the better airlines to get for sure. I really would like it around 57. If it starts to fall, you might want to get cash secured puts somewhere around 52.50. That looks like a very solid support in the past. And I don't think if it goes down, I don't think it's going to go much lower than that.
And then what you can do is like a win-win scenario is for the May 21st expiration, you can sell like the 57 strike puts and you can get about $80 for that. So like let's say, you're like, all right, I would love to own LUV at $57 and that's it. You know what I mean? Like you can sell that put, get paid about $80 for doing that. Worst case scenario, you have to buy 100 shares at $57 each. You know what I mean? So like I feel like that could be a good situation. Honestly, they did pop a lot though over the past couple months. They actually over doubled their share price. So honestly, if I were in your position, the only thing I would do would be a cash secured put. But that doesn't mean like it's a bad setup or anything. I just think that a cash secured put would probably be the best trade.
Yeah, either just a cash secured put or just a regular put. But if you do a regular put, keep in mind, definitely go look at the technicals on it and definitely do your own research because you're going to have to get in and out pretty quickly. I wouldn't like get a put on this for the long term or anything.
For sure. And then let's see. We have Melina saying Spot and Nvidia looking good. Let's take a look, Tom. So SPOT. Oh, actually, we'll cover on Nvidia first. So NVDA up around 1.7% today. Looks like it's rebounding up. Has intraday resistance right around 606. So it looks pretty good. If we take a look at Spot, it's actually breaking out. So Tom, what are you thinking with these two?
Yeah, Nvidia is really bouncing off that 1000 SMA and that top up there, but spot is starting to break out, looking pretty good. It's already ran quite a bit today, up 7.6%. This stock is a big runner. It's actually pretty low comparatively to its highs around 387. I think this could be a great stock for the longer term. Obviously, they do great things with music and have a ton of podcasts on there. And maybe they just need another Joe Rogan event. They just need to add a new artist or a new podcast onto there. Maybe they need to add the stocked up podcast on there, and it'll
Right?
make them pop back up to 400.
For sure, for sure. And like you said, it's already up a lot today. It's up 7.5%, which is in the 97 percentile of its moves. So it's definitely up a lot. So just be careful with that. Even though it has a lot of momentum, it definitely can continue up. They do have earnings next week. Just be careful because it is up quite a bit today. And then what are you thinking of Nvidia?
Yeah, NVDA, let's go check it out. There's a pretty solid resistance here around 606, and then also I have the 1000 SMA right there. So it's almost like a double whammy that it has to cross. And it looks like that right now we're just consolidating around 604. It might try to cross this today to the upside. I love Nvidia. On the daily chart, it was running a lot on that CPU news. Now it's coming back quite a bit. It has highs around 650 and we're around 600 right now. So I think it has a lot of potential to keep going up. But if at the same time, if we really break below like 590, we might see this stock really start to fall down. But with that CPU news, I would just expect it to keep going up. But with Nvidia, it's starting to get really high up in share price. It's starting to almost look like an Amazon or like a Tesla situation here with Nvidia. I think if once these CPUs come out, if they have good news and good momentum with their stock still, they could easily maybe hit 700, 750, maybe even $1,000, kind of like what Tesla did in the past. But keep in mind that'll be over the longer term. And this company is really good overall. I hopefully can hold these levels and keep going.
Sounds great. And then we have to take a look. Mark said CLOV is looking hot right now. So let's take a look. I was just looking at CLOV on the daily chart, and it does look pretty good. It actually does look pretty good. It's breaking out right now. It's up around 9.5% today. What are you thinking?
Yeah, fantastic moves today. It might have a resistance here, maybe around 930. If it breaks that, watch out for 940. But let's go to that daily. Yeah, the daily actually looks a lot better than the intraday chart. I think with the daily, it could start to really run up. Watch for it to possibly hit $10 just looking at the daily. I think that could be a pretty good resistance. It did hit, let's see, like 1050 a few days ago. So just be careful. We are getting close to those resistances. And I think that if we start to break out today, above 940, and if we hit 10, then just definitely watch out because it might start to go to the downside. And it is up quite a bit today, Mike, like you said. I think it's a big runner though, so just watch out. I'm more of neutral on it right now. I think it's up quite a bit, but just watch for it to break above 940.
I like the setup. Like the more I look at it, the more I like the setup. So thanks for pointing that out, Mark. And then Mark also said, thanks guys. If it wasn't for this live show, I would have lost on Tesla getting in during the choppy time. Well, thanks a ton for that awesome comment. We really appreciate it. And speaking of Tesla, let's take a look, Tom. What's going on? It looks like they're still struggling right around that resistance, right around 730. There's still a lot of chop around that area. It's trying to break out, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's really trying to. I think this time we might finally go through. Usually we see it go through whenever it has moves like this. It actually got rejected pretty well right there. So hopefully we see it go through. It's still a lot of chop. If it breaks 732, that's what I would just watch right now. It got really close to that around 731.80 earlier. So I think it can be a good move. With it intraday, let's just watch it. I think it will pop above that, but there's so much chop right here. It's just one of those trades where you'd have to be very careful getting in because obviously back there it fell down, but here we go. It looks like it's starting to finally break out. There we go, up above 732, hitting 732.25. So pretty good moves out of Tesla so far. Let's go see if that's dragging like NIO back up as well. I remember, yeah, there we go. NIO is breaking out as well. I remember they were getting chopped right around the same time Tesla was. So that usually is what happens with these stocks. They NIO likes to follow Tesla around a little bit, and it looks like NIO is doing pretty decent today.
For sure. And then we have John saying PayPal looks to be consolidating for another move back up. maybe 2 weeks time range. So let's take a look at PayPal. It is up just under 1% today. If we take a look at the daily, it doesn't look bad at all. There is support right around 260. As long as it can hold that support, it should be good. That's the main thing. Like that 260 support actually bounced off of quite a few times in the past. So as long as it holds that, I like it. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like PayPal for the longer term. It is up quite a bit right now. It looks like it might start to consolidate. It did bounce off that like 280 resistance a little while ago. I don't know what to think on the daily. I'm pretty neutral on it on that. On the intraday, I'm also pretty neutral. It looks like it's trying to break out, but it's getting chopped like a whole bunch of these stocks are. Like initially, we saw the market going straight up, and then now it's just kind of consolidating, being flat. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another end of day rise possibly, but for the next couple hours going forward, I think that we might see some of these stocks kind of get a little slow, especially like these ones like PayPal. What's another one kind of like PayPal? Who's the guys who own Cash App, Mike?
Well, you can say Square. Square's pretty
Yeah,
similar.
Square, that's the one. Yeah. Square's looking pretty good actually. Around 244 again, flat over the past few minutes. So again, just watch out for some consolidation today because we saw some big moves early in the morning. So now I would kind of expect them to get a little slow.
Sounds great. Well, really, thank you guys so much for joining the live. Tom and I really appreciate it. We have a great time. I'm just trying to do some last minute scans to see what's moving. We have NIO moving, like we covered a couple minutes ago. We have Tesla moving, FUTU, Fubo a little bit, Plug. Tom, are there any major stocks or catalysts or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Yeah, I'm still actually watching VXX. It's been pretty interesting since it had that 4-to-1 or 1-for-4 reverse split today, which was pretty interesting, making it open today around $41. So that was very interesting to see. But overall, I'm just going to be watching the SPY today on Friday. It's actually like right at resistance around 414.50. I think if it breaks this, we might see a pretty good rise out of it today. So watch out on the SPY. At the same time, like I said, though, over the next few hours, it might go a little flat. Expect a little bit more volume at the end of the day, I think, with it being Friday. So just watch out. And there's going to be a lot of options expiring as well. So don't forget about those.
Well, sounds great. Really, thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope you guys learned something on the stream or had a good time. We really appreciate you guys joining. This will end our first week doing the live stream. We'll be live again next Monday Monday at Market Open. So, yeah, really, thank you guys so much for joining. We hope you had a good time and have a great rest of the trading day, but also a great weekend. And we